Some of your comments absolutely get me riled up. They're awesome. I appreciate all the comments, and it kind of sparked me to do this episode today. A few months ago, I put out an episode about 10 things surfers hate, right? Really stoked about it. You guys had some incredible comments that I want to share. In the episode, I mentioned that, hey, you know what? Let me know if you have anything out there that I didn't bring up, because I knew there was a lot more than that. And you guys did not fail. So I may totally hack some of your names, and I just want to apologize for that right off the start. Here's Laughter Addict. Now, I've seen a lot of these. I'm just choosing his, but there's a lot of people who said this. One of the biggest things surfers hate, and this might sound hilarious or odd, but they hate other surfers. You want the lineup to yourself or with as few people as possible. You see other people walking to the beach, it automatically gets you angry. You're like, oh, what are they doing here? You know, I know they're going to paddle out right where I am. So yeah, other surfers, as silly as it sounds, anger surfers. Here's one from John Vaughn, and this states, don't forget surfers that don't know how to hold their boards and ditch them. Okay, so this is a good one. There's nothing really funny about this one, but it should be mentioned. If you're paddling out and you ditch your board, you can hurt people paddling behind you as well as the guy surfing on the wave. This thing is a fiberglass missile that you're either launching backwards on the people or in front of somebody who's surfing on a wave. Don't do it. Try to hang on to that board, duck dive, or at least hold on to that thing. Yeah, it's going to probably push you backwards, but it's better than decapitating someone. So hang on to that board, you guys. Here's one from, oh yeah, I'm going to mess this one up. Keztron Funk. That's F-U-N-K. YouTube. Don't get me in trouble. The biggest frustration for me is surfing when another surfer crumbles an otherwise makeable section on you. It's so annoying. It's hard, but I can tell you one thing you can do on that next time that guy does that to you. Just go up back, hit that little crumbly section so hard that it just sprays him all over, and maybe he'll realize, oh, that dude's really good. I don't want to mess around with that anymore. This one is by DY1. Driving past the beach when it's pumping, but you have to work or do something you can't put off. That is pretty brutal. You're going, let's say, you're here in LA and you're going to pick up a friend at LAX. And as you're driving past the beach, you're just seeing these waves just rope by and you're going, I can't believe I got to go pick this. Number one, I can't believe I got to go to LAX. But number two, I'm missing this surf. I can't get back there. And guaranteed by the time you get to LAX, pick him up, take him home and get back to the beach, it's not going to look like that anymore. But what makes it worse is when you're driving past there, you're looking at it, it's pumping, and there's only a couple of guys out, or even better, it's empty. Maybe you call the guy an Uber. Maybe there's a solution. You call the guy an Uber, say, hey, look, I'm going to pay X amount of money to Uber you home because it's firing and I want to go surf. Here's one that will frustrate you more than anything else. This is commented by Lilybell03. Paddling for a wave on a big day and not catching it, then turning around and getting caught inside on the rest of the set. Yeah, that's pretty much one of the most infuriating things that can happen to you. As you're caught inside now that you missed that wave, you're angry because you're getting pounded. You're like, I'm getting pounded and I didn't even get the catch wave. I didn't even get the ride a wave. I'm getting pounded for nothing. Somebody commented, what's the proper thing to do in that situation? Somebody else stated, take the second wave all day. You can do that. You can, when you see a set coming in, if you go for that first one and miss it, you're going to take 4, 5, 6 waves on the head. Not a good thing. But everybody thinks that way. And so from the beach, I see it happen a lot. You'll see a set coming in. Everybody goes past that first one to get to the second or third or fourth wave. No one takes that first wave. And a lot of times that wave is a great wave, if not the best wave of the set. And if you see it's a set and you're going to go for that first wave, paddle like heck, because you want that wave. If you miss it, you are going to get pounded and you might even get run over by the surfer on the next wave. Getting your leash caught around your foot as you hop into position to paddle for a wave. So yeah, that one is pretty brutal. And if you don't know what he's talking about there, usually as you're spinning around, sometimes your leash just from the movement of the water will get caught up around your other leg that it's not attached to. And now all of a sudden you're like, you're tied up, both feet, both ankles are together, and you're like, oh no. And you're trying to manipulate your other leg out of the leash. And it's just a nightmare. It doesn't happen a lot, but I think it's probably happened to all of us. One of the things out here, we can get caught in alongside of our own leashes, but our leashes can get tangled up in seaweed. It happens to a lot of us. Getting caught in seaweed is a drag, and I'm sorry for the bad pun, but it'll literally drag you down as you're paddling, depending on how much seaweed or kelp you have caught up in there. If you have a lot, it is brutal. You literally have to stop what you're doing and try to wrangle this stuff out of your leash. All right, this one is by Jeremy Stinky. I wonder if that's your real last name, Jeremy. Huh? Backwash when you least expect it. Yeah, backwash can really anger a surfer. It can, if you don't see it coming, either way, even if you see it coming, it's still going to anger you because you think you're paddling into a really good wave and all of a sudden you just see this back wave coming or this backwash and it'll literally send you sky high or it'll fly off the board. If you can get down the face of it, you can actually air that little back wave coming at you. So it could be kind of fun, but you could also buckle a board doing that. So I don't know how great that is. That's going to ruin your day as well. Okay, so this one is sent in by Nick on Track. And I hear this a lot. I see it a lot in the comments as well. Don't forget about the number one enemy, the guy on the SUP, stand-up paddleboard. Yeah, they're out there. And they're going to anger a lot of surfers. The problem with an SUP is it's faster. It can catch more waves. They've got a paddle, so they get to take off on the outside, come all the way in, and then sometimes they'll ride all the way back out and then go and catch another wave. So surfers don't like SUPs for the most part. There's not a solution. You can yell at them. They're not going to care. They're out in the water as well. So it's a unfortunate part, but it's part of the crowd. Okay, this is another one that I get a lot, and I may have mentioned it in the actual episode. This one is by Nick Morelli. The wave storm army paddling out while you're surfing alone is the most relatable. So yeah, now that I think about it, I did mention this. It's that whole wave storm crowd. Surfers generally won't like wave stormers. There's a weird thing about it. Wave storms don't seem to paddle out on their own. There always seems to be in a pack of wave storms. Like there's never one guy going out. There's like 10 guys coming out. And like I said, surfers don't like other surfers. So I don't necessarily know if it's the wave storm or if it's the actual individual that's riding the wave storm. And generally wave storms are a good board for beginners. And that's one thing that surfers really don't want to see as beginners because maybe they don't know etiquette. Maybe they don't know what to do with their boards. All these things that we're talking about that's going to anger a surfer. Well, beginners tend to do a lot of them. So I think maybe when you see a guy in a wave storm, you're thinking, all right, here comes a beginner. What's going to happen? Is he going to toss his board in front of me? Is he going to snake me? Who knows? Generally speaking, I don't know if it's the board as much as it is the rider. This is Mr. W Factor, and this has happened, I think, to almost all surfers. Once again, if it hasn't happened to you yet, it's going to happen to you. He states, when you've just paddled hard enough from being inside and wind up in the perfect spot with an ideal wave, and you're out of gas. You give it your all and don't get it. You're caught inside, you're swimming, you're digging, you're just trying to make it past that inside to get back out. And by the time you get out there, you're burnt, you're spent, you're tired. All of a sudden the peak comes right to you. You spin, you're like, oh, and you're giving it all you've got, and you just put your head down and start digging. Shoulders are burning, everything's going bad, and you miss the wave. At that point, you're like, I really need to get to the gym more. Another situation that this can happen in cold water. When you first get in, everything tenses up, right? Because it's cold. So all your muscles tense. And so paddling out in cold water is really tiring. So as you're paddling out, you're a little bit winded from the cold water and you're a little bit tired because your muscles are reacting to the cold water. And right as you get out there, a wave comes, you can barely catch your breath because you're still in that cold, that kind of a tense, and you turn to get it and you miss it. And you're just like, oh, it's frustrating. And I understand why surfers hate missing a wave because either they're tired or their muscles are relating to the cold water. So here's another one. This is from, I'm sorry if I mess it up, like I said, Julian Moser. He says, it just happened. In the distance, I saw perfect reeling barrels. Drove up to the spot and conditions couldn't have been worse. Glad I brought my gym clothes. Yeah, smart move. Go to the gym. That way you don't get tired out like we were saying from the one before. But this happens a lot, and it happens a lot to me shooting on the sand. I could be shooting whatever's in front of me, and I'm looking down the beach, and I consistently see these waves rolling through. I'm going, it looks so much better down there than it does here. Then we go over there, and it's not what we thought it was. There's a name for that. It's called down the beach syndrome. The waves are so much better down there. The real difference is that the angle that you're looking at, you cannot tell how fast that wave is breaking. It could be way faster than it looks, and there's no way you can keep up with it. It's going to close out on you. I don't think I've ever had down the beach syndrome, and it actually paid off to go down there. So my 2 cents to you, if it helps, if you see a wave down there, it's probably not worth you moving over for. Here's one that I touched on. I believe I touched on it in the episode. It's by Lava Pix. Breaking your new board in its first session. If it's your first day surfing it, you've been waiting for it to be shaped or whatever it is, you finally get it, it's brand new, you get out there and boom, it snaps or buckles, even dings. It's just maddening and sad all at once. Oh, that's brutal. Here's one that'll drive you absolutely mad. And me just saying it, if you're a surfer, you're probably going to be cringing back there just hearing this. This one was sent in by Doug Ward. When you skip an awesome wave because there's a guy deeper than you going for it, then he eats it on the takeoff and doesn't get the wave. It's maybe not his fault. Maybe he was trying to get a late takeoff, late drop. I see it more than maybe you as a surfer does because I'm sitting on the beach watching every single wave. And I see it and it's just like, oh, they ruined a really good wave, and you're hoping to get as many clips as possible. But being in the water and having it happen to you is actually going to be super aggravating. Here's one by Raul Martinez. Risk getting fired when it's firing. You never know how long it'll be until the next good swell. If you skip work and there's not another swell for another month, you're kind of bumming that one, but never get fired just to go surfing. You need to survive and eat and do all that stuff that a job's going to provide you with. At the same time, man, you are bumming when that happens. You go to work, you're trying to be the good employee, and you miss it, and now you're stuck with knee-high waves for a month. So I get it. I get the frustration on that. This is one that I did miss, and it's huge, and it definitely needs to be added. This one was submitted by 2FR. Stingrays and sea urchins should be added to this list. Yeah, I forgot about sea animals. You tend to get a little bit of everything if you spend enough time out there. I grew up in the ocean surfing at 5 years old and surfed all the way up until I had my bulging disc. So I ran into a lot of different sea creatures. Stingrays, unbelievably painful. It's just this burning thing that I don't know if it makes you mad. I guess it would make you mad because you have to start surfing. It hurts that bad. With the stingray, there is the stingray shuffle you may have heard about where you shuffle your feet around to let them know you're coming because they're not really out to attack you. It's just a defensive mechanism. Normally you stand on them or you stand really close to them. They whack you with that little tail, that stinger tail, and boom, you are hurting. You'll know it. It's not like, hey, was that a stingray? It hurts right away. Sea urchins, same kind of a thing. They usually live on rocks and corals. You'd happen to be walking, step down on one, and they have those little defensive needles. I don't know the proper name for them. And they go right into your foot. When it happened to me, I went to a lifeguard, said, hey, what can I do? And he's like, how bad is it? I go, oh, it's painful, but I mean, I can live. I'm not going to die. I just want to make sure I don't have any poisoning that I'm going to end up passing out from or something. He said, no, it's just super painful. And if you're fine with the pain, you can go on with it. It lasted about an hour, and that was brutal. I love the comments. Please keep them going. This is something that I would like to do more of. Thanks for supporting. Thanks for the commenting. Thanks for watching. I'm Brad Jacobson, and I'll see you on the sand.